What's going on, guys? And welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single Tuesday I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network, as well as on the Global Wrestling Network, which is where I watched today's show, TNA Against All Odds 2005. So, if you're not already aware, Global Wrestling Network is your one-stop shop for all old TNA pay-per-views. I think I read on Twitter recently from Impact themselves, or the GWN Twitter, whatever, that all the old 3-4 hour weekly pay-per-views, I think they were called, from 02 to 05. I think they're up there, 02 to 04, whenever they ended, before they started doing the monthly pay-per-views. I think they're all up on the Global Wrestling Network, if I'm not mistaken, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll review, I definitely won't review those as part of WrestleRant anytime soon, but maybe at some point down the road, or I'll watch one to review for a written review on nextwrestling.net, whatever. So today we are talking, as I had mentioned, TNA Against All Odds 2005 from February of that year. We kick off the show with Petey Williams taking on Elix Skipper. Decent opener, nothing too great, not the greatest X Division match I've seen from a TNA show from that time period, from all the other shows I've seen up to this point, but it was fine for what it was. Elix Skipper, very obvious they were pushing him to the moon at that point, got a sweet theme song. Petey Williams, great too, had a good showing here, but this was all about Elix Skipper, despite Scott D'Amore being in Petey Williams' corner here. Skipper scored the pinfall victory in about 8 minutes with the sudden death, which is what his finisher was called. After that, we had a tag team match. BG James, otherwise known as Road Dogg, teaming with James Hammond against Matt Bentley and Frankie Kazarian. So if the name James Hammond does not sound familiar whatsoever, I believe he was a NASCAR driver, and 3 Live Crew, BG James, Ron Killings, whatever, they were doing some sort of alliance or partnership or a sponsorship with NASCAR here. So they invited Hammond to be part of the angle. He won the match by pinning, I think, Kazarian like 5 minutes in. This sucked. This was completely terrible. Kazarian, I believe this was his final match of the company before leaving, like right afterward to go to WWE, where he would also not last too long. He left soon after, but still, the fact that he got pinned by a NASCAR driver on his way out really speaks volumes. The match sucked. It was 5 minutes, as I mentioned, but probably 4 minutes longer than it needed to be. Hammond's finisher was the pit stop, a running elbow. So, for what it was not good. After that, we had Raven taking on Dustin Rhodes, a.k.a. Goldust. The match, it just wasn't good. They had told the story with the pre-match video package, and Dustin Rhodes wanted redemption. I don't know, I just did not think this was all that good, really, at all. Raven won after Rhodes went headfirst into the turnbuckle post. Raven rolled him up. Think he might have had his feet in the ropes. Either way, he scored the victory 8 minutes in. Cassidy Riley, who is the protege, I believe, of Rhodes at that point, he attempted to make the save afterward before also being ambushed by Raven. So not so much of a help for Dustin, so to speak. But anyway, this was just not that good. It really wasn't. Thankfully, we finally got a very good match here, I thought. We had America's Most Wanted. We had Chris Harris and James Storm taking on Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt for the NWA World Tag Team titles. And a very good match. And they won with the death sentence. A lot of finishers ending with the death word here, I noticed. Sudden death, death sentence. A lot of death in TNA at this point in time. But very good match. It kind of not really all that formulaic. I think when I say formulaic with America's Most Wanted, I mean that in the best way possible. Because they were going out there constantly in 04, 05. I forgot when they broke up. But they were going in there night in, night out, having the same great match with a variety of opponents. And Cash and Hoyt just so happened to be their opponents on this show. Very good stuff. Just the little stuff they would do. Their chemistry was awesome. I still am partial to Beer Money, but still, America's Most Wanted, one of the best tag teams to ever come out of TNA, and this was a very good match, with America's Most Wanted, as I mentioned, retaining their NWA World Tag Team titles. After that, we had a Full Metal Mayhem match where the winner would earn a feature shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. It pitted Abyss against Jeff Hardy. I was shocked this was not Monsters Ball, because that's basically Abyss's stomping grounds. That's his stomping grounds. But this was a train wreck, I guess would be one way to put it. I mean, it had its moments, but Jeff Hardy went through a lot of tables, whether Abyss pushed him through tables, he threw him through tables. It might as well have been a tables match, because Jeff Hardy went through more tables than I can count. He fell off the top of the structure near the stage, which the commentators put over huge. like it was the second coming of fucking Jesus or something. Like it was more impressive than any other spot I've seen him doing before, but it really was not all that impressive at all. He just kind of fell, and that was it. It wasn't from that high up anyway. That was a little weird. He missed some spots, too. He went through some tables where he missed other tables. And, I mean, Jeff Hardy's done that before. He did it at WrestleMania last year. He went through a ladder, and he missed the other ladder when he should have hit that one, too. When he did the swanton, do the bar through the ladders on the side. He does that constantly. For whatever reason here, it just didn't look good. They had some fun matches in their time around 05, Abyss and Hardy, but I don't know. This really was not a... I mean, it might have been for you. It got a ton of time, almost 16 minutes. But it was a train wreck, for better or for worse. Abyss did go over and became the new #1 contender to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And also, too, I don't think it helped that the Full Metal Mayhem thing, which is basically TNA's version of TLC, and that's fine. They had multiple contracts hanging above the ring, and only one of them contained the actual contract. The other one were just fakes, which was a little stupid. So that, I'm sure, kind of hindered my enjoyment of the match as well. After that, we had a tag team match, Diamond Dallas Page and Monty Brown taking on Team Canada's Bobby Roode, or Robert Roode, I guess I should say, and Eric Young. Very good match. I mean, it was good for what it was. Diamond Dallas Page couldn't get a great match out of him at this point in time, but I thought he held his own here. He won the match for his team with a diamond cutter. Monty Brown was the real star. He shined. Team Canada was great. I don't know. I enjoyed this for what it was. And as it said, DDP picking up the victory for his team with the diamond cutter. And then we get to the real match on this show that you absolutely need to seek out. This was amazing, or phenomenal, should I say. It was a 30-minute Iron Man match for the X Division Championship. AJ Styles and who else? Christopher Daniels. I mean, obviously, if you know your TNA history, these two have had just an amazing series of matches. They had an amazing series of matches over the course of 2005, 2011, 2012. These guys have had matches pretty much every single year in TNA's history that they were in the company together. And this was no exception. This was an absolute spectacle. They made the most of that 30-minute time stretch. One guy got a pinfall victory. The other one got a pinfall victory. It was 1-1. They had to go on a sudden death after Daniels had locked in AJ in a submission hold. He did not tap out. He went over to whoever. I think it might have been Dusty Rhodes. He said, give me sudden death. And he gave him sudden death. AJ was just dead. So Daniels had to drag him back up, attempt to beat him down, but AJ battled back and won the match. And it was just a phenomenal match. Again, for lack of a better term, no pun intended. The crowd was nuts for this. They absolutely loved it. I loved it. This was a fantastic match. The psychology, great. In-ring action, exceptional. Drama, storytelling, spectacular. I loved absolutely everything about this. And if nothing else, I mean, we already knew by this point, I think people were already well aware that Daniels and AJ were fantastic wrestlers, but I'm not sure if anyone ever really took them seriously as future main event stars. And I think this was a huge breakout performance for both guys that proved, hey, we're not just spot monkeys here. We're guys that can tell a real story too. And also kind of set the tone for the remainder of their rivalry. So I loved every second of this. Literally every second of those 30 minutes was great. This is absolutely worth going out of your way to see. The main event, not so much. Just one giant pile of shit. For the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, who else defended the gold but Jeff Jarrett against Kevin Nash. So yeah, I mean, you might be a little bit confused, as Jarrett and Nash were on the same side of the squared circle at one point. Jarrett, Nash, Hall. I don't know what happened to Scott Hall. He probably got drunk and got fired again because he was nowhere to be seen on the show whatsoever. But Nash was basically a tweener by this point. People were behind him, but the match itself was terrible. It started off fine, then they took the match all around the arena, and you would think to yourself, is this a no DQ match? Is this false count anywhere? No. They just fought all around the concession stand for whatever reason. I mean, it was a false count anywhere match. I would almost understand it. Otherwise, this was terrible. Came off terrible. The execution was stupid. The whole thing was that, Jarrett can't use his guitar, which he's won every other main event in TNA's history up to this point with. So, that was the whole thing coming into the match. Jarrett had attempted to get a lawyer to speak to Dusty about getting that stipulation removed. He was unsuccessful. They used the guitar anyway, which was weird. The referee was looking. The whole thing was just a train wreck. As if that wasn't bad enough, you had interference from, which, for what it was a cool moment, I'm sure, for those in the arena at the time. No one expected them to be there. You had Road Dogg interfered to thwart the interference of Billy Gunn, which I forgot what name he used in TNA, but he was not Billy Gunn. They did refer to him as a former WWE superstar. I think he might have been cut short from WWE right before this, either in late 04, early 05. Anyway, he interfered on Nash's behalf, I believe. No, on Jarrett's behalf. And that's when Road Dogg attempted to get rid of him, and those two were former tag team partners. As if the DX reunion was not big enough, you had Six-Pac, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, whatever you want to call him. He interfered on Kevin Nash's behalf. These guys are going at it. The referee's down and out, and what else but a ref bump in a TNA main event? What a shocker, I know. This was terrible. This was just atrocious. So Jarrett hits the stroke on Nash, gets the 1, 2, 3. Still the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Just a terrible way to go off the show. Overall, this really was not a good show. Just not a lot of matches stood out in the best way. If we're being quite honest here, probably the worst TNA pay-per-view I've seen up to this point in my retrospective reviews here on WrestleRant of the TNA shows. This was really not good, like, whatsoever. The only thing that saved this from being one giant pile of shit that was the main event. It wasn't the main event, but like a lot like the main event, which was the original steaming pile of shit, was the 30-minute Iron Man match. Just, again, exceptional stuff. Go out of your way, sign up for the Global Wrestling Network, if only to watch AJ and Daniels. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, but watch that match. Just great stuff, start to finish. The rest of the show, not so much. Maybe America's Most Wanted against Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt. Everything else completely missable. This show sucked overall. It's almost like WrestleMania 25. This was way worse. Had many bad matches, even more so than Mania 25. But it's a lot like WrestleMania 25 in that it has this one. The show has this one saving grace, this one instant classic. And then everything else is just deplorable. Like that other one kind of good match, like Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy from that show. On this show, it was America's Most Wanted, Cash and Hoyt. It's a lot like Mania 25, but just way worse. So don't watch it, but definitely check out AJ and Daniels from TNA Against All Odds 2005. So thanks for checking out the review, guys. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. I will be back right here on a WrestleRant next week, I believe, to break down an old WCW pay-per-view. I think Starrcade 87 or something like that next week here on the show. So stay tuned for that and all the other wrestling coverage, post-WrestleMania week coverage here on the channel in the days to come. Anyway, folks, have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.